Ladies and gentlemen, it is one thing to actually privatize a public company, but it is another thing to see that public company actually amount to benefiting the republic under the ownership, under the ownership of the new investor or the new private investor. The Kenya Pipeline Company has been at the center of the controversy of privatization of public companies by the administration of President William Ruto. In different instances, irregularities have been cited by the Auditor General in regards to the Kenya Pipeline Company. But one that has remained key is in regards to how faster President William Ruto moved to privatize this deal, and more so, how he sold this company, the Kenya Pipeline Company, at a throwaway price to the Ugandan National Oil Company held by the Ugandan President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Now, putting aside everything, as of today, the Busia senator and one of the few leaders in the Republic of Kenya that has been at the front line fighting to protect the sovereignty of Kenyan public asset, Okiya omtatah, is currently, as of today, wrote a letter directed to the Senate and also another one directed to the High Court of Kenya in regards to the sale of the Kenya Pipeline Company. And I want us to divert into this matter without fear of contradiction. Okiya omtatah states that there are things that are secretly happening in regards to the Kenya Pipeline Company that needs to be looked at with in-depth understanding. Now, even behold the Kenya Pipeline Company letter that Okiya omtatah wrote to the Senate, there is another letter that he also wrote in regards to a certain expose that was done by the Auditor General. And I want to begin with that before diverging into the Kenya Pipeline deal. Okiya omtatah, through his socials, he posted and said this: for years, the Auditor General has exposed billions lost through financial mismanagement and irregular expenditure, but accountability remains elusive. I have formally sought a statement in Senate on the effectiveness of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission in Kenya in acting on these findings. Kenyans deserve answers, action, and justice, not endless audit reports gathering dust. Public money must serve the people, not the corrupt. And I read the letter by Okiya omtatah to the Senate, a request for a statement on the effectiveness of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission in addressing recurring audit queries and public finance management irregularities. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 51 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on a matter of national concern regarding the effectiveness of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission in addressing recurring audit queries, budgetary irregularities, and systematic corruption in public finance management at both the national and county government levels. Mr. Speaker, Article 79 of the Constitution and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2011 mandate the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to prevent and investigate corruption, promote integrity, recover public assets, and strengthen accountability in public institutions. However, for several financial years, reports of the Auditor General have continued to reveal recurring cases of unsupported expenditure, irregular procurement, unaccounted public funds, stalled projects, payroll anomalies, and breaches of public finance laws across ministries, departments and agencies, state corporation and county governments. The recurrence of similar audit queries year after year points to a deeper problem regarding the extent to which such matters are investigated. Tied public persons held accountable, lost public resources, recovered, and preventive measures put in place to stop further loss of public funds. In the statement, the committee should address the following. The number of advance audit findings reported by the Auditor General over the last 10 financial years that have been referred to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission for investigations, indicating the national government entities, state corporations, and county governments involved. Okiya omtatah continues. Number 2, the number and status of investigation and what have you and what have you. I think if there is a person that has taken it as his job to ensure that accountability is the song that the William Ruto administration should sing, is Okiya omtatah. I mean, how many audit reports have been filed and revealed by the Auditor General, revealing billions and billions of shillings that have been mismanaged, reported to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. But the body called the EACC has done nothing to ensure that public money is not mismanaged. Now, from the said call to the Senate on the issue of EACC actually staying away from ensuring that accountability is served, here comes the letter that Okiya omtatah writes in regards to the Kenya Pipeline Company sale. And Okiya omtatah says, pursuant to Standing Order 53.1, I have sought a statement from the Senate Committee on Energy regarding the reported non-disclosure of beneficial ownership in the sale of Kenya Pipeline Company shares. Kenyans deserve transparency, accountability, and full disclosure on transactions involving strategic national assets. Public interest must always come before private gain. And he says, the Senate request for statement on non-disclosure of beneficial ownership in Kenya Pipeline Company. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Energy on a matter of national concern regarding the ownership structure and beneficial ownership disclosure of shareholding in Kenya Pipeline Company KPC. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Kenya Pipeline Company is a strategic national asset central to the transportation, storage, and management of petroleum products vital to Kenya's energy security and economic stability. The recently released KPC Initial Public Offering IPO information memoranda reveals that 90% of Kenya Pipeline Company KPC top shareholders are shielded by nominee accounts, with only 2 of the top 20 publicly identified, raising concerns regarding transparency in a critical national asset. This lack of transparency potentially violates constitutional requirements for accountability and public oversight, specifically Articles 10, 201, and 232 regarding the ownership of vital infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, given the strategic importance of the KPC in the country's energy sector, the opacity surrounding the beneficial ownership of a significant portion of its shareholding raises legitimate public interest concerns regarding potential concentration of influence, foreign control, the conflict of interest, and the adequacy of safeguards protecting critical national infrastructure. In the statement, the committee should address the following. Number 1, a detailed breakdown of the current shareholding structure of Kenya Pipeline Company, KPC, including the shareholding percentage held by the Government of Kenya, state corporations, foreign entities, institutional investors, pension funds, and private investors. Number 2, disclosure of beneficial owners behind nominee accounts that collectively hold a substantial portion of the shares in KPC and the legal framework governing such transparency. Number 3, the involvement of public officers, past or present, in holding beneficial interest directly or indirectly in the company. Number 4, measures by the government and regulators such as the Capital Markets Authority, CMA, to ensure accountability and protect strategic national assets from undisclosed ownership or undue influence. Number 5, assessment of risk posed by the current ownership structure to national energy security and public interest and effective governance. Number 6, proposed reforms in legislation, policy, or regulation to strengthen beneficial ownership transparency in companies managing strategic infrastructure. Signed by Okiya omtatah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's one thing in this letter by Okiya omtatah that we have failed to look deep into. And I tell you, this is one thing that is will come to bite us in the near future, because there is something very dire that the William Ruto administration has done. In the recent past, the Auditor General has reported major financial procurement irregularities surrounding Kenya Pipeline Company deal. Our reports have flagged multi-billion shilling losses, irregular contract variations, and lopsided terms in both the construction of the Mombasa-Nairobi Line 5 pipeline and the controversial government-to-government fuel agreement. Now, Okiya omtatah states that the current owners of the Kenya Pipeline Company, after it was privatized, only two are known: the Uganda National Oil and the public, holding a very small percentage of the shares of this company. But there are other investors who hold the largest percentage of the Kenya Pipeline Company, but the government of Kenya has refused to reveal the names of those that are the largest shareholders in the Kenya Pipeline Company. Remember, this company was privatized, and about a month ago, the Cabinet Secretary of Treasury, John Bati, delisted the Kenya Pipeline Company as one of the public-owned entities, making Kenya Pipeline Company fully private. Which means the reason why they don't want to share the names of the other shareholders in this Kenya Pipeline Company deal is because your politicians or companies linked to your politicians, cabinet secretaries, and members of parliament, and businessmen who are allies to the state or to the president are the real owners of the Kenya Pipeline Company. That is why they are shielding them from public scrutiny. And that is why we applaud the likes of Okiya omtatah, who look deep into the hidden details on this government deal. Because tell me why the government sells a public-owned company to private investors, and then refuses to disclose the names of those that are the largest shareholders in this public company that they have sold. And they separately moved to gazette that the company has fully been removed from the list of country's public assets, and now making the company a fully owned private company. Kenya Pipeline Company, the company that deals with the transportation of every petroleum product in East Africa, not only in Kenya alone, in East Africa. That is why in everything I ask, I say we have to avoid the politics of popularization that are being carried out by different politicians in the country, and concentrates to the deals that the likes of Okiya omtatah are addressing, because these are the people that actually expose what really matters. Mtazamaji, I would love to hear your take. Leave a comment in the comment section, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for more news and more updates.